So much fun to have you guys joining. I would really love to know, because you're here because you ordered Rock Your Light, my book, isolation read that I prepared earlier. I would love to know, just in the comments, if you've received your book or if you've read it yet, because I know some of you are still waiting for it. But I'd love to know if you've read your copy of Rock Your Light yet. It might still be on the way. Not yet. Okay. Yeah. Eagerly waiting and stalking the postman, no doubt. It's on its way, nearly finished. I think someone read it in 4 hours, and I was like, that's a record. That's a record. They must be in Aries, I think. Patiently and impatiently waiting for it. Okay, some people are still waiting for it. No doubt I'm going to put the prayers out that it's going to be in your hands this week. Eagerly waiting. Oh, awesome. Still on its way. Great. Loving it. And Val said about to start the prosperity section. Awesome. Ruth, I've read it twice. I want to see it like highlighted and like scribbled on and dog-eared and all the things. I want you guys to love this book. So yeah, I tuned in a little bit this morning to what would be a really beautiful, some teachings that I want to offer this morning, and what I think would help you move forward right now. Awesome, Alison, been flipping onto lessons in different moments. Awesome, Ali. Cool. So I would just really love to know before I kind of get rocking, because as soon as I get going on my jams, I will just be off. But I'd really love to know if you are currently building, let's say, or creating a business right now. So a heart-based business, or your light working business, or you're bringing your gifts to the table. Are you currently building a business around your light work? Yes or no in the comments. Or are you starting to get a niggle that something wants to be created, and maybe you want to start to bring some more energy to that, or you want to kind of crank the dial up on that? Okay, I'm getting a lot of yeses here. Awesome. Awesome. So you're either in it, getting the call to it, or ready to crank the dial up, or starting to bring the pieces of the puzzle together, starting to get the niggle. Yeah. Not yet, but the niggle is there. Awesome. We're going to talk about the niggle today. Ready to crank it up, planning, visioning. Okay, cool. Yes, starting beautifully life coaching. That's awesome, Wendy. This week, that's come up so quick. Awesome. Yeah, definitely getting the niggle. Amazing. You're in the right place. This is awesome. So I'm going to kind of teach and touch on quite a few little elements here, a couple of things from the book, but there's things that I want to teach that aren't from the book. Some will be directly related to if you're building a business, and some you can just take and use in whatever part of your life. Okay. So just take it and kind of like let it go in the direction of where it needs to go. So I want to really talk about owning your voice as a light worker. And if you've read the book, you might have started to understand a new meaning around light worker, but kind of just to put it out there for this morning, I just mean that if you're feeling that niggle and that call that you want to create, or you want to do something to be of service. I want to create something, or I want to feel on purpose, and I want to help other people in whatever way that I feel called to, or I want to start this business, or there's just that new energy starting to come through and starting to tap you on the shoulder. Okay. So for me, my definition of light workers is just anyone that's feeling that call and wants to start to move in the direction of like what they're feeling called to do, and help be of service and help bring positive energy to the world. Okay. And like I always talk about, and I speak about this in the book, we need light workers in all industries. Okay. Light workers aren't just coaches. They aren't just healers. They aren't just, there's no label around it. Light work is about the energy that you bring. The energy that I'm bringing is more important than the label. Okay. Yeah, Val. And usually a lot of us start to get that niggle, like that call to teach, or I want to start a podcast, or I want to start writing about this, or I want to start telling people about my spiritual work. And then we get that fear that comes through and comes up as well. And like, who am I to do this? And who's going to listen to me? And I'm not as good as everyone else, and all that cray, which we're going to cover a little bit of that today. Okay, so the most important thing, and this might be the first thing you want to write down about owning your voice as a light worker, is light workers, or you, must be unfiltered, or people won't feel it. as a light worker, you must be unfiltered or people won't feel it. And this is the conversation where we start to think about needing to be our authentic selves, needing to speak our truth, needing to show up the same on screen as we do off screen. Okay, so there's not that disconnect. Because I see so many people wanting to really own what they're here to do and speak about these messages and bring forward their beautiful gifts. And then they start to sound like someone else. And it takes away all of their light work and all of their light in that, right? There's a quote in the book that says, you are the light in Lightworker. You are the light in Lightworker. So what we need is more of us being ourselves, more of you. Stop trying to sound like someone else, because it's going to dilute your message and more potently dilute your energy. And we need light workers who are on the top shelf energy, like their light is on a high beam right now. Okay. So questions to ask yourself here is, where am I still trying to dim my voice, whether it's writing or speaking or, the way that you're sharing online, if you're doing that, where am I still trying to dim my voice to be understood by people who aren't going to get it? This is how we hide, right? We go, well, no one's going to get it if I talk about that. So I'm just going to come and talk about this stuff because everyone gets that language and everyone's understanding that. And I don't want to go outside the box too much because people might think I'm a weirdo or I've changed. So where am I still trying to curate my message and speak to people who I'm actually not even wanting to speak to? Okay. It's really important, because light workers and what we're coming into this time now is that we're really activating this new leadership energy. So you are feeling you want to step up in your family. You're feeling like you want to step up in your friendship group. You're feeling like you want to step up in your community. And this leadership energy, and especially light workers, like, we're coming into this lifetime, you guys, knowing things that other people don't know, feeling things that other people don't feel, understanding this other way of looking at the world that we've never been taught in school, right? So if we're really going to own that, then we have to be okay with talking about it when no one else is talking about it, and speaking to it when no one else is speaking to it, and being the people that put that energy out in the world and don't give a shit if people get it or not, because we know what we're here to do. So think about those little moments where you're still like, oh, that's a little bit too much. And this is bringing to the second point. You can ground into that and you can practice that by asking yourself, is what I'm sharing making me feel a little bit badass? In the energy of like, oh, this feels like a little bit like, oh shit, am I allowed to say that? You want to be in that playful, in that light, in that like, oh, this is kind of on my edge. You want to be in that energy, you guys, when you're sharing, because if you can't even feel yourself in your message, how are other people going to feel it? If you are someone that like spins jokes and you're really sarcastic, or you're funny, or you swear or whatever, and then you're coming over to your socials and you're trying to sound like something else, people aren't going to feel your full heart because you can't even feel it. Okay. So wherever you are, especially even if you're not running a business right now and you're starting to be like, okay, I'm feeling this new part to me, like, where are you still dimming that down in your work environment, where you can just start to plant seeds for other people of, oh, have you tried thinking about things like this? Or, hey, this is a really good book that I've just read. Or, hey, this is a podcast. Like, you can start to share your light work before you even start a business on light work, So just kind of think about that as well. And the last thing I want to say here, where am I still talking to people who aren't actually my people? And how can you bring more of you to the table? How can you bring more of you to your current work environment as much as you can? Okay. How can I bring more of me to these programs that I'm trying to create? And my business coach has told me to create them like this. So I'm trying to be rigid and I'm trying to fit in the box. But this is how all the successful people do it. No. Bring you to the table. What is your expression of this? What is your version of business? What is your version of workshops? What is your version of podcasts? Forget all the rules within reason, and rock it your own way. Because in that, people feel you. In that, people feel your light. People feel your authenticity. They feel your truth. And most importantly, they feel your energy. And that energy, when it's in full concentrated you, is when you move other people to be and to feel safe to be them. Okay? Are we getting this? We're getting this, right? So checking in. Hey, where am I still filtering myself? Where am I still playing it down, playing it cool a little bit? Where am I still talking about things that I actually don't really care about? And there's something I really want to talk about and I need to own it. Because it's never, I write about this in the book, it's never the fear of, oh, what if people don't get it? The fear is that you're afraid to own it. Okay. Second point here I want to touch on is this energy or this understanding of, I know a lot of your fear when you want to kind of like shine brighter, or you want to really own your truth, or you're going to the next level, or, you know, you're in that expansive, yummy energy. There's that fear of, oh, who am I to do this? Or I'm not going to be good enough, or people will think I'm just doing this for money. People will think I'm just doing this to get something. And we have that unconscious understanding or that unconscious little niggle of, I might turn into a bad, greedy person if I do this. Okay, I know how crazy it sounds, but my God, how many of us have this, right? So point number 2 I want you to write down here is, when my intentions are clear, my fear will disappear. When my intentions are clear, my fear will disappear. Okay, so what do I mean by this? You have to get to a point where you just decide to trust yourself. And you decide to remember that you would never do something to hurt or harm anyone else, because that's just not the person that you are. And your fear is part of the gig. It's going to come up at every single opportunity that you're going to, you know, have to step more into your light, to own more of your message, to really take up space in the online world, or take up space in your life. There's going to be a little backlash from your fear. There's going to be a little that knee-jerk response. Okay, it's part of the gig, you guys. We all have it, but we need to stay anchored in our intention of what we're here to create. Your intention of why you're doing this work. Your intention of it being about your heart and not about your ego. It being about your light work and not just being about the likes you get on social media. Okay. What clears out a lot of people from you know, being really anchored in their light work is that this just gets in the way, and they keep making it about, you know, they keep making it about things instead of the light work. They keep making it about the shiny instead of the actual grounded light work. So I kind of broke this down a little bit, and I talk about this particularly when I know a lot of you are like, cool, I'm getting a niggle, but it feels so far away, or I'm getting this vision, but like that's so far away from my current reality and my current bank account and my current everything, you know, and we start to create that bigness and that charge around our dreams or around the next step. So how I'm starting to explain this, or how I want to start to explain it, is to be certain in your light work, like know the bird's eye view of what you're here to do, but take action from the ground level. Take action from simplicity. So know the bird's eye view. Okay, know the higher vision. What's the higher vision of light workers? For most of us, it's going to be to serve, to wake people up, to help expand consciousness, to help people live by their intuition, to help people feel better. Okay, there's a higher vision here. And then what's the grounded practical things? Okay, how am I going to help wake people up? Maybe for you, it's like, I want to create spaces where people have empowered, women have empowered births or pregnancies, or I want to coach women to love their bodies no matter what size they are. I want to help people, you know, believe in their self-worth. Like, see how it's like all of us light workers, we're all on the same fucking team. we're all working this higher vision, but it's trickling down to each of us in different ways. And that's why I always say everyone's light work is needed, because everyone brings a piece of the puzzle to the whole picture here. And there's people that are trying to fit into a little puzzle piece that isn't theirs to fit into, because they think it'll be more successful or more powerful, or I need to be more like them, or I need to do it this way, or I need to sound like this and have my perfect photos and everything like that. That's all really fun and that's part of it. But make sure it's really you, okay? Make sure it's really your truth and it's your piece of the puzzle. So in the book, I talk a lot about, and if you've listened to my podcast, you'll hear I talk a lot about draft copies. Like, that's all. Anything I teach in business is always about, let's do the draft copy. What's the next step, right? Because we have this higher vision and then we shit ourselves because it feels so far away from where we currently are. So what happens is when we do our draft copy, your draft copy, do you know what it is? It's energetically preparing you for your dreams. That's it. If you can't show up for a draft copy, how the hell will you show up for the big dream? If you can't own your draft copy and show up for the fears and the doubts and the judgments and all of that, if you can't be in it, if you can't handle the draft copy, how are you going to expect yourself to handle the dream? If I couldn't handle writing a blog 5 years ago, there's no way I could handle writing a book. The blog was my draft copy and the book is now like the dream or the manifest, right? If you can't be unfiltered on your Instagram story, if you're really scared to show your face there, but you have a dream of speaking on stage, like the draft copy right now, the practice runs or the grounding into your gifts is requiring you, that draft copy, to show up and get comfortable being seen on camera, or, recording yourself, and then a podcast will come. These are just examples, by the way. So your draft copy is flexing your muscles and it's grounding you into that long-term thing. So that's why it's so important. Let's stop using the word big, okay? I need to take big steps and make big changes. No. What if it's just your next natural step? Your ego and your fear is going to charge things up to feel bigger than you, to keep you from just doing your light work. Every time. It's going to charge up conversations to feel bigger than you. It's going to charge up money to feel bigger than you. It's going to charge up the next step to feel bigger than you. It's going to charge up your dream to feel bigger than you. Okay? So that's why we break it down to our draft copy. So we're putting another suit on. Oh, we're getting comfortable. Okay. Next draft copy, we've got another layer of the suit and we feel comfortable. So then when the last thing comes, it doesn't even feel like a big deal, because you've chipped away at all your resistance and shown up for all of those draft copies. So you match the level of your dream and you're like, oh, it's not actually bigger than me. It is me. You see that? So when your intentions are clear, you guys, you have to really be proud of who you are, and you have to be proud of your light work and proud of the way that you're growing and proud of the way that you're changing and evolving and showing up, and just be proud of your light and be proud of your message and what you're creating. Because if you can't be proud of it and if you can't really own it, it's such a disservice for everyone else who is wanting to come in and receive from you. Okay? You've got to be grounded in it. So, yes, I need to take a little glass of water here because it's been turboing for like 20 minutes. Remember this as well when you're working towards your dreams and you do have that perception that it feels so far away. Please know that the timeline does not matter. The time does not matter. What matters is that you are in the energy of your light work as much as you can be, in many different expressions, voicing it, writing about it, talking about it, teaching it, doing courses to learn more tools, reading books about it. The timeline doesn't matter. What matters is you're in the energy of your light work over and over and over again, so that it becomes so natural and so normal that it doesn't feel like you're weird or anything like that, because it's who you are. Okay. So the second part of that, we'll move to the next step. The second part of that I want to say is, because I understand, and I want everyone to know here, that there's times where you're going to have to put a little bit of yourself on the line to stay committed to your light work? And let's use a really easy example. Sometimes it's money. We've got to invest, and sometimes from our current reality, we're like, how am I going to pay for this yoga training? How am I going to do this? But you have that real intuitive call of, I know I need to show up for this. Okay. We've all had that. I share so many of my experiences on that in the book, and all the times where I was scraping the barrel because I was just so fiercely committed. And I was like, I don't have a choice. When I feel that inner knowing, like, I don't doubt it anymore. I don't doubt those downloads. I show up. So let's talk about the need to stretch yourself. Okay. The need to put a little skin in the game sometimes, because you know, it's not always sunshine and rainbows for light work. And sometimes it does challenge us, right? Because it's not necessarily challenging us, it's helping us embody, and it's helping us get stronger. Okay. Which is what we want. Gives us a little test. You might have heard that before. So stretching yourself is really about, let's use the metaphor here, because you all know I love my metaphors. This is the kind of another version of the draft copy. If I can't stretch myself to not pay for it, not get a red-eye flight, like if you always get red-eye flights, this is an example, you always get red-eye flights and you constantly are just staying in that story and on that feedback loop of, this is all I'm worth and this is all I can do, and this is all I can handle, how will you ever feel ready and worthy to get business class? So if I can't show up on my Instagram unfiltered, how will I ever handle showing up on stage unfiltered? Okay. So everything, like I said, everything is just energetically prepping and helping you handle the next thing. So think about where you're stretching yourself right now. And I ask myself this every time I invest in my light work. I'm like, okay, $100 is feeling really stretchy right now. Like, this is, if I just look back on my journey, like, okay, $100, A, feeling really stretchy to invest, or B, feeling really stretchy for me to receive if I was asking that from other people, right? But then your intuition is saying, okay, it's time to grow, it's time to expand. If I can't let myself receive $100, how will I ever receive 1,000? How will I ever receive 10,000? The same as, okay, if my dream's out there and I know there's like steps towards there, if I can't handle investing $100, or if I can't get a little bit stretched and be like, okay, that feels new and that feels different, and you know, I'm going to show up for it, how will one day I invest 1,000, 10,000, whatever it might be? So I just use the example of money because it's like an amount that we can see. But just ask yourself right now, if there's big decisions that you're trying to make, whether it's like changing jobs, or maybe you're wanting to like your social circle is starting to reorganize in the sense of, oh, I'm growing away from certain people. I don't want to hang out with certain people anymore. They're not making me feel that good. And you're in that gap of, okay, where's my soul fam? You know, you're in that little gap of calling in your soul sisters, or whatever you want to call it. If you can't handle like the next step of that, how are you going to handle and show up for when the good stuff is coming, when the next level is coming? Are you guys understanding what I'm meaning by that? I just kind of like to explain it in the two different ways, so that when you do have those experiences, you can say, oh, okay, I'm feeling stretched by receiving this or investing this. But if I can't show up fully for this, and if I can't own this, how the heck will I show up for the next one, and the next one, and the next one? Okay, great. I'm glad that's landing. Awesome. It changes the game for me because it takes the charge off it. And then all of a sudden, if you're looking beyond the next step for you, or beyond the next vision for you, the one that you once thought was so far away is now way closer. Okay. See how that just shifts things in your mind? If you think your dream is really far away, think about the dream beyond that dream. What's your goal beyond the next goal? And as soon as you go, oh, well, yeah, I don't just stop there. It's not the peak of the mountain. It's just one next step. And as soon as you can go beyond that, you're like, oh, now that one's actually way easier and it's not such a big deal. It's my next natural steps and I'm moving towards it. Awesome. We've got it. Cool. Let's talk about staying committed. Okay. Staying committed to our path as light workers and leaders and heart-based business owners, all the good stuff. So I feel really called to speak quite quickly here on the fact that there's people who won't get it. And a lot of the time that actually can be our family. Okay. A lot of the time it's our family that don't get what we do or don't understand it or bring a few little fear-based beliefs to our light work, which is absolutely okay. All right. I just want to kind of share this little truth that is always at the front for me, is that sometimes our family are here in this lifetime for our growth and not necessarily for support. People in our lives sometimes have different roles than the ones that we want them to have. And that's really important, right? The same way as some of your really good friends just might not actually get what you do, and that's okay. And they can still love you and you can still love them, but you don't need to try and make them get it for you to get it. Don't wait for your family or your friends to approve of something that maybe they're just never going to understand. And this is why it's so important. And I know all of you on this call will be totally onto this. Surround yourself with people who believe the same things that you do. Because when you first step out to be like, hey, I want to do this. I want to write a book. I want to build a business. I want to talk about conscious things. I want to become a life coach. I want to start a podcast, whatever it is. When you first do that, guys, it's quite vulnerable, right? And this is kind of the next point. Be fiercely protective of your vision and your energy. Be fiercely protective of who you talk to this about. Talk to it. You know what I mean by that. And just know that some people in your life are not the ones that you're going to talk about your business visions with. That's why you find communities, or you find a mentor, or you find someone who can plug into their podcast, or something like that. So you can just keep kind of getting your energy field stronger. Yeah, Chloe said, mine are totally here for my growth. Yeah. I'm glad that lands, Val. Yeah. It's a big one, and it can be quite a painful one as well, right? When we feel disappointed when there's people that we love most that aren't necessarily supporting us. But that's when we lean into finding a support crew that aligns with us and knowing where we share our energy. Okay. Doesn't mean that anyone is a shit people or anything like that. It's just we want to have that match, and we want to create containers where our light is fully received. Okay. Because if we're always going to a container and we're trying to share our light and it gets thrown back in our faces, that's when we doubt ourselves. And if we keep hanging around people that doubt us, we doubt us. If we hang around people that are questioning us all the time, we question ourselves. So you want to just make sure you're putting yourself in an environment or plugging into environments that build your bulletproof belief over and over and over again. Okay. Was it to be fiercely protective for? Sorry, Danielle, honey, can you just, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Fiercely protect your visions and your energy. Is that what you meant? Thanks, Ali. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And the reason I say that particularly is because when we start to doubt ourselves, like we have to stay so committed and stay so certain of what we're here to do, and stay certain of that higher vision, because we are going to get knocked. We are going to get things thrown at us. We are going to get people who doubt us. We are going to come up with those days where we have a lot of fear and we're like, is this even fucking helping anyone? Is this even doing anything? Does it, like, guys, I had so many conversations with Luke. I'm like, does this book even do it? Like, does this even help? Like, did I just make this whole thing up? And there's some days where you might feel like that with whatever you do, right? Like, am I just talking shit? But it's remembering that, like, fear is a thought and intuition is a knowing. Okay. Fear is it's just scattery. It's just up here. It just comes out of nowhere. It just knocks us off our center. And that intuition is a knowing, and that intuition is a feeling. And light workers need to stay plugged into the feeling. Okay. What makes you feel on purpose? What makes you feel lit up? What makes you feel expansive? Who makes you feel that way? Who makes you feel inspired? Okay. I'm talking lots of great shit. Awesome. So yes, we keep turning the gaze inwards. We ask our vision and ask our dreams to bring support to us, right? This is where we get our little spidey senses. This is where we tap into our gifts, our intuition. We tap into that visualization practices. If you have that, you tap into your heart, you know, having a stronger field than your head. We tap into that, oh, yeah, I can see this vision, but also, yo, universe, I need support with this. A lot of us are forgetting that we have support outside of just this physical, right? Like the universe's, your dreams are the universe's dreams for you. So don't forget that you can ask the universe for help. And I know how fluffy that can sound, but seriously, with anything with my, like even my book, when like I write about this, when I didn't get the book publishing deal that I really wanted, and that was like my big dream, and it was on my vision board for years, and I was like, fuck, I didn't get it. Like I thought I had that shit in the bag. Like what happened? And sitting down straight away, and you'll read about this in the book, and asking the universe, okay, yeah, I'm not going to give up. Like, show me where to go. I need to find a publisher who's aligned for me. I need to find an editor. I need to find this. Like, I have a fucking book to write and I need help. Or I have this vision on my heart, and I need a designer. I have, you know, I want to build this and I need a call in the course to help me give the tools for this, whatever it might be for you. Okay. So whatever your next step is, if you're feeling like there's like, I don't really know what it is, ask the universe for a sign. Like, don't forget that you can do that. You have a spiritual squad on your team. Okay. Isn't that the funnest? Isn't it the funnest that we can talk about stuff like that? And I don't even care if some of you don't get that, but I'm pretty sure I'm preaching to the choir here. The second part of that is, remember this, you guys, this is a Yogi Bhajan quote: vibrate the cosmos and the cosmos shall clear the path. Vibrate the cosmos and the cosmos shall clear the path. Stay connected to your spiritual practices, whatever it looks like for you. Because your relationship and your intimacy with your intuition is your number one priority. That is your number one I don't say desktop. Your number one your number one relationship. Okay? Because on those days where you feel like you get wobbly, on those days where you're like, oh, someone just said something to me and it really hurt and it feels yucky and now I'm doubting myself and I don't know if I can actually do it. On those days where you get rejected from a publisher, you can turn the gaze inwards and you can tune back in and you can say, what's the message here? Hey, what do I need to remember here? If you aren't like this with your intuition, or you don't practice, or you don't show up for that as your number one relationship, you and your intuition, things are a lot harder. That connection is so important for us light workers, you guys. Okay? Or anyone building a heart-based business. Right? So how are we flexing the muscle of our intuition every day? How are we getting used to the senses in our body, or the sensations, sorry, not the senses, the sensations in our body? How are we getting used to that? Do we know what a yes feels like? Do we know what a fuck no feels like? And are we listening, more importantly? Okay. Call in help. Like there's a big misconception that we need to do this work alone. I'm a light worker and I'm a leader and I got my shit sorted and I know what I'm doing and I can't tell anyone that I need help. Like I just need to figure it out myself. No, we're all on the same team. There are people with gifts that kind of like are the glue that you need, that just click, that turn the clog for you. Okay. So find those people, ask the universe to bring those people to you, the books, the teachers, the mentors, the courses, whatever it is. Like keep expanding your toolkit. All right. And I know all of you are already all over this. Okay, what was the last point that I wanted to mention here? Okay, the last point I want to say here, and then we're going to go into a little Q&A. So if you have any questions about anything that I can help you with, please start to think of those questions or type them in the chat in a moment. So the last thing I want you to note down is, I move before I'm ready because I know I've been doing this work for lifetimes. I move before I'm ready because I know I've been doing this work for lifetimes. Don't forget that. Don't forget, and don't get caught up in this readiness and this, I don't have this, or I'm not enough, or anything like that. Like, guys, you're better than that now. These gifts are just reawakening. They've always been there. These gifts are now just being put to the forefront of your life and not hidden under the rug anymore. If you showed up from an energy of, I know what I'm doing, I trust myself, and I believe in this message, if you show up so connected to that, nothing can touch you. Truly. You will call in everything that you need. You will feel this new energy become present in your life, where you just, those little doubts, they don't even like, they're a blip now for you. Okay? You wouldn't be called and you wouldn't be getting this niggle in your life if you weren't the one to bring this through. You wouldn't be getting this niggle if you weren't the one that could handle it. You wouldn't be getting this niggle if you weren't the one with the gifts and the resources and the tools and the knowledge and the wisdom to bring it to life. Start acting and start making decisions from that level of certainty and see how quickly things will change. Okay? Stop playing dumb with your gifts. Stop thinking you don't know things. Stop thinking there's not an energy around you that's trying to move through you. Okay, you feel it. Stop doubting that. Stop doubting the downloads. Okay? If you knew you'd been doing this work for lifetimes, stop acting like a primary school teacher when you're a professor. Be in that energy. Okay? And yeah, it might take a little bit to kind of get used to that, but your decisions become so much easier from that energy. Your next steps, your next natural steps become so clear. Things become simple because you're just like, I've already decided. I'm acting from the certainty of my vision coming to manifestation. So I don't have room to doubt it because this is it. You know? So yeah, let's make it. Absolutely. So does anyone have any questions that are present here at the moment? Okay, just want to move this little thing over so I can actually read this. Okay, Val, I resonate with all you said, and my relationship with intuition is strong, and definitely she is talking to me right now about the next step, but having serious trouble to get clear on my vision about a few things that I am called to do. Yep, and by consequence, I don't take any action. I keep tripping on my mind. Yep, awesome, and I guarantee there's other people as well. What do we do when we're actually not clear? What do we do when we feel this energy or we feel this niggle, but we don't actually know what the grounded thing is? Like, what do we do next? So this is where it is important to keep, like, not needing to rush it, but B, remembering that, like, the clarity comes through the action sometimes. So if you're starting to get a few, like, oh, okay, I've got a few things, making a decision is better than making no decision. Because as soon as you make a decision, the universe starts directing energy in that direction, okay? But if we're like, oh, there's a few things and there's still a few things and I'm going to sit with those few things and I'm just going to think about those few things a little bit more, the universe is like, hey, I'm just waiting to, like, channel in one direction, but you're not giving me the direction. So I think what's really, I want to offer permission here is, like, just do something, because as soon as you start to move, you will know if it's a yes or a no. And a lot of us are trying to get clear on the yes or the no first. So it's like when you think about when you go to a university degree, Like, I had to go to uni to realize that I didn't want to go to uni. I had to sign up for courses to realize I didn't actually want to do them. But I didn't know that because I was unclear of it, right? So maybe it's like, okay, oh, I'm feeling like maybe I want to be a yoga teacher, or maybe I want to do this, or maybe I want to do this. What's the first step that you could take in that direction, which could open up the next ones? Don't put pressure on the first decision being the one. Okay? As much as we that's like our conditioning of like when you're in year 12, it's like, you need to choose your life purpose and choose your uni degree, and you can never change your mind. You need to do this for the next 500 years, you know? Okay, it's true. The only thing stopping me is that I'm 36 years young. Yeah. And you've been gathering tools and learning about yourself and learning about what lights you up and moving out of things that are unaligned for you. So you've been all this time doing these draft copies of yourself that now you're landed in a place where you're like, okay, I've learned these things. Now I'm ready to teach them, or now I'm ready for them to manifest a little bit differently. Working in a career for your whole life, now changing everything. Yeah, so let's just not put so much charge on the word change. It's like, it's just new and it's different. And you would have heard me speak about our vision changes as our vibration changes. Light workers, we adapt and we move with energy, and we're always creating. So how the hell are we in that beautiful creative flow if we're so like, oh, but this is how I've always been and I need to stay here, I need to stay rigid? Like, just be like open to that. Yeah, Beck says upgrade, not change. It's just new. That's it. And can we lean into like, even like a really basic question I ask myself is, instead of making choices based on logic, why don't we make them based on joy? What actually feels more fun to me right now? Staying in this job? Awesome. Or doing a yoga teacher training? Awesome. What feels more fun? What feels more joyful? Remember, you are the light and light worker. Your energy is the most important thing. Okay? So you want to feel lit up in your own life to then light up other people's lives. So for you, Val, it's like, oh, okay, why don't I just follow what's going to bring me most joy right now, knowing maybe it's going to look different to everything that I've learned up until this point? Wouldn't that be a fun way to live? Like, I'm like, what if we live by joy instead of logic? Can you imagine? Can you imagine the businesses that would be built and the creative things we would be doing? Okay, want to catch some of these questions here. And like, also 36 years young, so much amazing time to still ground into your gifts, to still be awakening, to still learn these new things about yourself, to still flex the muscles, you know? So exciting. Okay, Kate, what are some ways you can deepen your relationship with your intuition? Many different ways. Meditation is a great one. Sitting in stillness is a great one. For me personally, Kundalini yoga was a really big part of my my spiritual practice. Mantra and chanting, journaling. If you feel like all of those are quite foreign right now as well, deepen your relationship with your intuition is really about following the feeling. Where am I making decisions based on, like, does it feel good in my body? What does my body do? When I'm making a decision, is my body cramped over and my heart's tight and my jaw goes tight, or I stop breathing? Or am I making decisions from my body's open and quite light and I feel like a little buzz in my tummy? So it looks different for everyone, but those ones in particular, meditation, a stillness practice, just connecting to your breathing, just clearing, like wiping the windshield clean a little bit, enough to just hear a little inner voice. And we speak about like fear speaks first and loudest. So most of us are walking around with just listening to that first and loudest voice. Fear speaks first and loudest. So we're making decisions on that knee jerk. Fear, first and loudest, that must be the answer. First and loudest, that must be the answer. No. Let the fear speak and then listen for the voice underneath it, because it's always there. It's a little bit quieter though, most of the time. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Elise, yeah, start by just dating the ideas. The first guy isn't usually the one. That's awesome. Just gonna try this on. Okay. Awesome, Tash. Perfect. Okay, yep. Okay. All right, something I struggle with is having so many ideas and things I want to do and being kind of impatient and impatient. Have you met me? And indecisive, because I'm trying to be patient and know I'll do it all one day, but all of these multidimensional parts of the vision feel urgent now. Yeah. So how I break that down as well, because I understand that when there's lots of moving parts and lots of like, oh, this is cool. Oh, I want to do this as well. Is remembering your vision isn't in a rush. We have time. The second thing, let's go for the least resistance first, because a lot of these little moving parts that feel urgent might be the draft copies, or they might be a little energy of the longer term vision. So even when I created my Lightworkers Academy, I did 2 draft copies before that. And that, my academy felt really urgent 3 years ago. It was like, build an academy, help Lightworkers, do this, and do it now. And the energy, I was like, fuck, but I don't have a website and I don't have the money to create it and I don't even know what I'm doing, right? So it felt urgent, but that was just to kind of pull me in that direction because I knew how important it was to me. So you can act from that urgency, but on a grounded level of what is the next step with the least resistance, which is why I talk about draft copies. This feels big and urgent. Okay. What is the next step, the least resistance next step? What's the easiest thing? What could I actually do tomorrow that I don't need anything? I have all the tools that I can do now, or I can put this out now. If I got real with myself, I could do this next step tomorrow, and then like take steps from that. And also that question I always ask is, where does my energy most want to go? That's kind of following that urgency, or following that, because the urgency is sometimes just, it needs to be, urgency is just a big energy charge to make you pay attention. Okay. So where does my energy most want to go? Oh, I'm getting these like little energy flashes. I need to pay attention to that. What do I need to do to move in that direction? Where does my energy most want to go? And try and pick one and channel your energy completely there, because what I see for a lot of people, and me in the past as well, is wanting to do 50 things that we're just half-assing, and our energy is scattered. We're not actually grounding it, okay? Rather than, okay, 6 months or 3 months, I'm just going to channel this. That's how I wrote a book in like 4 months, whatever it was, because I was like, I'm channeling this. I'm not going to do 72 different things at once. I need to have the discipline to sit my ass down and put my energy in one place. Okay. Hopefully that helped a little bit. Awesome, Val. Yep. Yeah, George has just said, my mum is 52 and still walking towards getting clear on her vision. Yes. Age has nothing to do with it. Seriously. And here's the thing. If we think about what I say, we need light workers everywhere, in all industries, in all different human suits, in all different colors, in all different languages, in all different everything, all different places, right? If we think about that, we also need light workers like rocking their light at different ages for other people in that category, right? So like I won't connect with everyone. Everyone on this call, you've got your own beautiful community who are a vibrational match to you. And that's why we need all the pieces of the puzzle, because some pieces of the puzzle don't match other pieces. Okay? So we need all ages, all styles, all manifestations. Okay? Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yep. Like clarity. Relieve. Yep. Okay. Chloe's just said here, I recognize I have a tendency to dive in head first and then popping my head up and thinking, fuck, what have I got myself into? Knowing full well I wouldn't have been shown it. Yeah. And then dived in if it wasn't for me. Absolutely. Yeah. Wouldn't have been shown it if you weren't ready to own it. Yeah. Find myself often then dumping and running. Okay. Sometimes I wonder what is letting go out of self-sabotage and what is me backing away from my edge. Ooh, that's a juicy question. That's a great question. And I think that's that'll be a personal experience for each person, because yes, absolutely, some people, you can get into something and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want this anymore, right? And it's interesting because for a lot of us, the creating, the getting our hands dirty is actually the funnest part for us. Okay. So here's a real-time example with the book. Writing the book was actually more fun to me than having the book here now, which isn't that a mind fuck? Like being in the creativity of it, I was like, oh my God, like I'm turned on, I'm learning new things, and I'm in my channel, and I'm showing up, and like that yummy creative energy is actually what is most important for a lot of us, not the actual thing. But the thing is just like the dangling carrot, or the thing is just like the anchor point for us to move our energy in that direction. Okay. So I personally love the creative process just as much as the actual end point, and I think that's where it trips a lot of us up, because we create and then we get something and we're like, oh, well, I don't feel as excited anymore. And it's like, because your excitement and your creative juices are turned on more by the actual creative process, not the thing. Okay. Because you're feeling fulfilled and satisfied and on purpose and all those yummy feelings. But yeah, know as well when it is that self-sabotage of like, oh wow, I've created something and I'm a little bit scared to show everyone now, or I'm a little bit scared of, hey, I've grown, and in this process maybe I've outgrown some people and that feels scary, so I'm just gonna like go back a few steps, So just kind of be in that dance of, oh, is it just because the process was more important and more fun to me, or just like showing up was more fun to me, or is it just like I'm now at this level and I've just got those little growth feelings of, hey, I'm about to go to another level or a new expansion or be seen a little bit more, and that's the self-sabotage. That's the procrastinating now, okay? Because what will happen if I really own this? What will happen if I stop doubting this? What will happen if I really believe in myself? What will happen if I put this out there, okay? Yeah, Wendy's saying I'm 54 and starting my vision to be a light worker. Woo woo. Yep, Zoo says my mama is also starting to connect to her next phase of light work. Absolutely. Yep. Yep, Chloe, I've created so much and never released it. Yeah, and also in those creative processes, sometimes we do outgrow our creations, right? And that's okay as well. Like there's parts of my business that don't align for me anymore. And it's just because I needed to gather tools and resources through that and like learn parts of myself through that to then be in what I am in now. So it's totally okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because we love the creating. Yeah. And also, yeah, just remember that you're always, just like I said, you're always just like expanding your toolkit. And maybe it's just like we get into that phase where we feel like we're just kind of coasting or cruising a little bit because we're not actively creating. And that's usually when we doubt things. That's usually when we go, oh, maybe I'm not meant to do this because I'm not as excited anymore. That's a funny one, but it's just because you're like gearing up for the next level of growth. And you're just having that, like I've spoken about recently on my Instagram, you're having that little rest season. The creative energy isn't firing as much, right? But don't you worry, it's going to be firing again soon. Yeah. Okay, does anyone have any last questions? Is there anything that I wanted to share with you from the book? Oh, it's been so fun just hanging out for an hour with you guys on a Sunday. Okay, Danielle. What if you feel your group of friends values and what they like to do no longer aligns with you. I know that you're a combination of 5 people you're spending most time with. You're wanting to meet new people, aligned with the comfort zone of those people that are scared to let new people in. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that huge part of many people I'm sure on this call who will just be like, yeah, I get it, I feel it. That's where a lot of that level of self-trust comes in as well, and knowing that you are going to, I don't like to say grow away from or leave toxic relationships. I actually don't really love that language. I love the language of the universe is going to reorganize your friendship groups, reorganize your relationships, and asking yourself, are these people, is this environment I'm in moving me closer to my purpose and my power, or keeping me from it? Are these people helping me move closer to my purpose and my power, or are they keeping me from it? Is this environment, is this job, is this relationship, is this decision, is this investment moving me closer to my purpose or keeping me from it? Closer to my power or keeping me from it? And I understand, Danielle, as well, how scary that can be, because I've experienced it myself, right? Like, all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to go out and party and get pissed every weekend. I don't want to be hungover. I don't want to eat shit. I don't want to hate my body. I don't want to be talking about superficial stuff. I don't want to be in that anymore. Like, this is when I started my awakening journey when I was like 21, right? So nearly 9 years ago. Fuck, that's so weird. What is time? Starting that and being in that of like that wobbliness of like, I don't really know where I fit in here anymore. And this is kind of all I've known. And if I leave, I'm scared to be on my own. And I always talk about the gap where you disconnect and you let the universe start to reorganize, or you maybe spend a little less time with certain people, or you maybe just set some clearer boundaries, or you just have the intention of, okay, I'm ready to call in people that are on a vibe in the same as me, or who value the same things as me, or anything like that, and have that intention. But there's that gap where it feels like it's just you. And I get it. I've fucking been there. I get it. And in that, you just trust, who are the people that I want to call in? Like, what are the values of my soul squad? Or what am I so excited to call in? Like, what are we going to talk about? And are we going to go to yoga together? And are we going to do this together? And are they also building a business? Like, start to be in that manifestation of being intentional with who would light you up to be around. Okay. And the second point of that is, and this is with manifesting in general, let's not be fluffy about it, you guys. We're in a 3D world. Like, we got to do the action sometimes. We can be out here and we can call shit in out here. Absolutely. But if we're not backing it up with a little bit of 3D work, it's got no legs. It's got no substance, right? So I always say, actively participate in the creation of what you want. Actively participate in calling in a new soul squad. Great. Put it on your vision board, all these things. But when was the last time I went somewhere new? When was the last time I went to a new class and put myself in the opportunity of meeting new people? When was the last time I did went to an online workshop, or went to an in-person workshop, or where do I want to hang out? Meaning, where would my soul sisters want to hang out as well, if they're kind of like similar to me, So be kind to yourself and be so loving in yourself for that wobbly stage of calling in your new community. And like, love yourself enough just to be awkward. Love yourself enough to be the weirdo. Love yourself enough to show up and be like, hey, and meet new people that way, or connect with people on social media, whatever it might be for you. So yeah, have the intention, and then actively, take take action in, what I'm saying, in alignment with that. But yeah, I feel you, darling. And I know that phase, and I know how lonely that can feel, but please trust that they are coming. And if things are misaligned, no matter if it's people or relationships or environments or anything like that, love yourself enough and worth yourself enough to want the best, to want to be somewhere where you're going to be fully received as you. Okay. Because that niggle and that mask and that filter, it is like so much harder to live in that than it is to not live with it, right? Like it's so much harder to fake who we are than to just be ourselves. Whereas a lot of conversations are, it's really hard to be yourself. Like, I don't fucking think so. It's really hard to not be yourself, and it's really hard to not be true to yourself. Okay. You're welcome, everyone. I'm just see if there's any last questions. Yeah, Michelle's just said, yep, I'm in that in-between stage. And look, you guys, you're on this call and you're in these conversations and you're in this energy of light workers. Like, that's awesome. That's a huge first step. Like, you're saying to the universe, like, more of this, more conversations like this, more community like this, more people like this, right? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Do you have any tips for building your heart-based business when you work full-time in a job that's completely the opposite? I mean, that would be a whole nother call in itself, but let me just think of some things that I can offer here, because I have a lot of tips for this. First tip, bring you to the environment that you're in. When you're transitioning into your light work, stop trying to think that your light work is separate. Stop trying to think, oh, I'm this person here and this person here and this person here. What if right now your light work was actually bringing your light to the current work environment that you're in? What if it's not about like, oh, I stop and I start and now I'll be over here? Okay. If you're just like unfiltered in your energy wherever you go, you're more magnetic in your business. Okay. So that's the first thing. Second thing is start to get in that draft copy energy. Okay. Instead of going from full time to this, could I go down to 4 days a week and just try that on and start to flex that? Do I need to actually be a little bit more intentional with where my energy goes in my business? Am I doing things that are actually building my business or just fluffing around, for lack of better ways of saying it? You know, am I taking the grounded steps that are going to kind of balance the business with the full-time work so much that I can start to step away from that? So what are my next draft copies? What tools or resources do I need to call in? Where can I show up more in my light to my current environment? Because they shouldn't be separate. Okay, as much as you can. I understand that some work environments, I get it. But that's like you practicing being you. Okay, grounding into your gifts, whatever environment you're in. You should be able to kind of work the room in whatever environment. Hopefully that helped a little bit, Jordan. I think I might do a podcast episode on that. Actually, I'm going to write that down because that's a great question and I just would need more time to go into it. Yeah, and Chloe's just said, I feel you, Danielle, 95% of my circle has changed. Creating space and honoring the container I wanted to create was uncomfortable. It's so expansive. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's hard at first after faking it for so long, but it gets easier. Yeah. When you're being someone that you're not is hard. Absolutely. Been feeling it for years now. I have to let go of a few relationships that were just negative and bringing me down. Yeah. I've lost a lot of friends during my health issue journey. Yeah. Feeling you, honey. Yeah. Awesome. You're on the right track then. And it's just like, maybe as you're saying, like there's just some last ones that are lingering and it's just about you actually trusting yourself. And this magic question that I ask myself whenever I'm like, oh, I need to make a decision now and I don't know how it'll look, or oh, I need to invest and shit, what if I don't have the money in like 6 months to pay for what I think I want or need or anything like that? Remember that, like, ask yourself, do I trust my future self can handle it? If I walk away from this relationship, do I trust that my future self can handle it? If I make an investment or if I build a business and I'm not too sure about it, do I trust that my future self will know what to do? Okay. And start honoring and working from that, because that's when you start living from higher self, you know? Bedtime for you, Sam. Awesome, honey. Okay. Yeah, I'll get onto that, Jordan. That's a great little potty episode. Just gonna scribble that down. Okay, awesome. All right, everyone, we're just gone just over the hour. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that all of you got at least one thing out of that and you got a little injection on your Sunday morning or evening or Saturday night or wherever you are in the world. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for buying this book and ordering this book, and hopefully it lands in your hands this week. I appreciate you and I love you so much, and thank you for receiving me in my light work. And just keep showing up, you guys. Keep showing up, keep leaning in, trust yourself. You've been doing this shit for lifetimes. You know what to do. And yeah, lean on these lessons, because this is exactly everything I've shared in here has been my life over the last 5 years. Okay. So I hope it helps you so much. All right, everyone, the recording of this will be available if you feel like you want to, I keep forgetting that name, Zoo, if you feel like you want to keep circling back to this, but take care of yourselves, go rock your light, do good shit, and I'll see you over on the socials or somewhere, wherever I see you. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.